Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Just want to make sure that this is working. Check 1, 2. Check and see. There we go. Hopefully this is working now. Check 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Check, check, check. Hopefully you can hear me now. There we go. I think we're good now. We were having some technical difficulties on the first installment, and I'm still learning this on-air Podbean Live, so do forgive me for any issues that came in, but we are going to continue on here and act as if we didn't do the inaugural broadcast already. So here we go. Hope you're excited about today, and today is another amazing opportunity for all of us to win, for all of us to dominate in whatever industry we're in. Listen, I understand firsthand that we have an unfair advantage in the world, and I'm going to talk about this today, so hopefully all of you can hear me and you can see that we are moving here and things are really working the way they should. So here we go again, and it's very interesting to me to see a lot of the world the way it is, and people are still in the dark on a lot of these conversations, and that's the whole reason why we are starting this on-air broadcast, is to help people understand. So the Screwed Up Truth Construction Edition is what we're getting into today. I hope you're excited about it as much as I am, because the conversation just doesn't end. The conversation continues on, and we are working the kinks out here in the back end with all of the details. So again, I do apologize for the first episode. We were on here a little bit past 7 a.m. as promised, but again, the audio recording was just simply not working. So this is going to be the start of a great movement that I believe we are going to get into. So welcome, 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 all of you. I'm very excited for all that we're talking about. So you are in the right place at the right time, and we are going to step into some deep waters here today. I hope you're excited, because we are moving along here. And so let's look at some of the things. We're going to have a few people that are going to
7, 6, 5,
be here with
4,
us. Hopefully
3,
they can
2,
join on and listen,
1.
but encourage all of you to join on and be a part of this movement here of what we're doing. So the Screwed Up Truth Construction Edition, let me begin. So good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled and welcome. I want to just simply welcome you to the very first broadcast, the Screwed Up Truth Construction Edition. This is where we break down the walls literally and figuratively, and we are going to get to the core of what's really going on in the construction industry. No sugarcoating, and just the unvarnished truth from what we want to get to, and that's the ground up. So today we're driving into the topic shaking the construction world, the evolution of construction from hammer to high tech. We're going to zero in on how technology is transforming the day-to-day realities of construction, from the tools we use to the way we approach every project. How are these innovations changing the game, and what does it mean for the future? Let's get into it, shall we? So the first segment is discussing this conversation about the transformation from traditional tools to technology. Let's start by focusing on the tools of the trade. For decades, the hammer and the nail symbolized the core of construction work, especially for us carpenters, those of us that are in the real trade, we used to call it, talking a lot of junk about that. But everybody's in the best trade because they're in the trade that they're in, so they brag on it. But carpenters are really the best because we're the ones that figure everything out. But anyways, not enough about that. But now we're seeing a significant shift towards automation and digital tools. A prime example of this shift is the use of drones for site surveys. And I was actually just talking to a good real estate friend of mine. She's been in the business now for probably 30, 40 years, but she is phenomenal at what she does. And she's actually selling a house here in Rhode Island. I won't disclose all the details because it's already under contract. But the house is stunning. I mean, it was owned by the Catholic Church, and I have a lot of back knowledge with the Catholic Church, not so much from a Catholic standpoint because I'm not at all Catholic, but what I do see with the Catholic Church is their business knowledge is just phenomenal. I mean, the way they run things, the diocese, and just the whole Catholic Church, right back to the Pope. I mean, it's a phenomenal operation when you really look at it from a business standpoint. And I know it's sort of sacrilegious or whatever you want to call it to say that. Well, it's all about the ministry and they're serving people and all of this, and that's awesome. I'm all for it. Serve the people, great. But let's talk about the business. I mean, that's what this conversation is all about. Anyways, we're talking about the business. So the business here today is about drones and about this business of all of the new technology and nuances that we have in the industry. And we're going to get into a lot more on this. So just stand by and be patient because the build up to this is going to be quite phenomenal. I'm going to talk about all kinds of things. We are going to have conversation with people that we're going to bring on here on air. We're going to have a call-in number very soon. Also, if you want to connect with us immediately, you can also go on Facebook and just reach out to us through Messenger. Just send a message and say, hey, what's up? Or, hey, really enjoying. You sound good on there. You give me some kind of feedback, some kind of encouragement here. Because it is our first ever doing this. We've done plenty of podcasts. As you know, we've probably done over 32 or 35. If I'm being a bit of a stretch there, I'm not sure. I know it's over 30 at least. So I can at least safely say we've done over 30 podcasts. We're doing that for about 2 years now. We are bringing the visual aspect. I'm going to be doing a teaser video most likely later today. I'm still getting set up in the new space that I'm in right now. So there's a lot of things that are variables, as you can already tell. As I mentioned when I started this inaugural broadcast, I was sharing with you that we were dealing with some things with technicality issues where I made the first recording. I had about 27 minutes on here, and for some reason, it did not record. It did not go in. So it's just interesting how the audio works on this part of Podbean. So Podbean Live, I did check everything initially, but maybe I was just still wiping the sand out of my eyes. I don't know. Mr. Sandman must have got me pretty good because I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, what is going on? It doesn't make any sense. Everything should be in here. And so very exciting topic and very exciting conversation. I want to welcome Facts Podcast. Facts Porcupine podcast. If I'm saying that right, if I am at all, I do apologize. So I am really excited to be here. If you don't mind, if you can share with me if you're hearing everything well, and would you want to jump on the live here? I don't know if you want to jump on, if I'm putting you on the spot too early. Sure. Okay, I'm going to send you an invite right now. Let's get on here. This is pretty cool.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
How you doing? You just first show?
First show.
What are you going to talk about?
So we're talking about just the evolution of construction trades. So that's kind of what I've been digging after. I just had this thought the other day about a whole show that I would be doing, talking about the screwed up truth and just dealing with the areas of conversation that nobody talks about, but everybody knows about. So pretty excited about the whole concept and just how people get ripped off all the time in the construction trades. So
You just started talking about a topic I was talking about yesterday, and we have a podcast for construction, but we
you
never
do.
really got it going. Give me 1 minute. Hold on a second.
Okay. For all of our listeners out there that are joining on now or joining on later, just want to let you know we're just starting to get into a conversation here, so it should be a lot of fun. Want to join everybody, welcome you on. It's gonna be a blast.
So basically, I'm on my way because I own a construction. I'm a construction contractor,
Nice.
and I started my podcast a while back, and I did start it. I'm an OSHA guy.
Okay.
All right, so that should help you. So when I saw once I saw construction, and I said last night I wasn't going to go on no more lives. So I'll teach you something. Some people, cool that you let me in. I'll let you in on my show, but just be careful with people.
Oh,
Now,
I'm sure.
construction. Are you a project manager?
I was a project manager for Renewal by Anderson, the
Oh
window
man, I
company.
just did something with Anderson. I use
That's
Pella.
funny. Okay, okay. Yeah, I know Renewal's a bit different branch of them, so they're kind of
I know a
more of
lot
a
about
higher end.
Anderson. I know a lot about Anderson, and Anderson is now going to start doing their own installation because they got too many issues. Most of the companies like that, unless there's a workforce issue, but we just did Pella. I just did a show
No
with,
kidding.
yeah, it's called Salt and Pepper. A young white gentleman got connected with an older black gentleman, and this kid is already off and running, putting in. We waited 6 months for a Pella screen.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I know it's funny. Not this. You're gonna do good. Uh,
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I was doing the podcast initially, just sort of audio, so I'm putting the visual aspect and learning a lot. There's a lot of learning curves, I think, with this stuff.
That's
It,
easy
as a
shit,
whole.
man. Just get out. Just get and talk. So you're doing. You, everybody's doing audio, but you're going towards the video too now.
Yeah, I'm doing the video on the actual podcast side. I'm just doing the live because like I said, I was tired of getting, all this feedback with people. Yeah, and I've experienced it probably if
You
I've
can take the
experienced it
feedback.
once.
Don't listen to shit. You know your business. You
Yeah.
know. We know. Well, you're coming in on the Windows side of it for a big company like Anderson. You're going to be speaking about because that's where you were working for recently, no, right? Or
No, not recently. I actually back in 2018. So I went on my own as a contractor back in 2019. So I've been ever since kind of an entrepreneur. Uh,
Congratulations. What state are you in?
so I'm in Rhode Island.
Yeah, it's a lot
Oh,
nicer. Yeah.
where are
Hey,
you at?
I'm gonna put my website in. I'm in New York.
Oh, New York. Okay.
You don't
I
come
should have
here.
picked the accent up.
What'd you say?
I should have picked that accent up.
It ain't even the accident. We are the first painting companies to ever do what we did
Wow.
as a black man, and I lost a lot of money. That's why I'm a podcaster for now. We went. I was a union electrician because my dad retired from Local 3. My brothers are all electricians.
No kidding.
I was in the union for a minute. Then I decided to start a company. I took the plunge.
Wow. I was a union carpenter out of Local 94 in Rhode Island. They merged from
Hmm
1305 when I started. So.
That's interesting. Here, look, I put my stuff in there. We are really beat up right now. We walking around with one leg. Sales are down. Immigration fucked our company up. I don't care what anybody says.
So you left the union? You're not there anymore?
No, we were I'm trying to give you a like. Why is it not going? Okay, there you go. When I was
Nice.
an electrician for a while, and I kept watching the sprayers. You know how they spray?
Oh
Psst.
yeah.
We're sprayers.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to leave because I'm helping somebody out, and we're gonna remove 4 outlets. Gonna put it back. I help him paint his room. He had a little water. I'm done. That's my friend. He's an engineer.
Okay.
I'm doing it for his wife. They're my friends, and they asked me to help, so I'm banging. So now you've been lifting 5/8 sheetrock. I would not move it
Yeah, it's no joke.
all day with that. Damn,
Yeah, no. That's why them guys, their shoulders are blown out. It's wild.
they're beasts. But you got a lot of Jamaicans that throw up that sheetrock. Now you got the Mexican brothers who came in on doc. You should see the construction. There's $100 million project around the corner from me, and I heard there's a 400 or 300 million 2 blocks away, and there's no white boys and no black boys. Everybody. I've been videoing this shit. There was a guy went and purchased a rat. You ever see those rats that they blow up when you're
Oh
not?
yeah.
Well, a black brother just bought one, and I got up late for this big historic blowing up of the rat in front of a construction job that has over at least 200 men.
Oh man.
No one black in the neighborhood. This shit, I got this on film. I'll put it up to my Instagram. So your topic today was just going to be what? You was going to tell people, because I just finished the, it sounds like I'm making a lot of money. Fucking, my son's uncle bought a house really close by us. It's in Bed-Stuy. It's a brownstone. They hired a general contractor. Nobody watched him. You know what that could be like. So the
Yeah.
owners, now I want the TCO. I'm in their ass. My punch list was like a book. And you probably gonna have a good topic. You're in Rhode Island, so it's a little softer out there, but I'm in New York. I had a fire alarm inspection the other day. We live that too. It was live. It was crazy. And yeah, my show is a variety of a lot of topics, but we were getting ready to home in. We started with the construction. Oh, my largest download of 300 downloads,
Oh wow.
the title was construction.
I'll have to check that out. That's on here?
So I gotta find it, but it's on there somewhere. I did 600 shows in less than a year. You do 4.
Wow.
It was adrenaline run, man. I lost $1 million. What the hell are you gonna do? You should know more about that.
Yeah, yep.
Getting
Yeah, that's
paid,
serious.
getting paid, dealing with the prop. And you know a lot of problems that we had on this job? The
What happened?
contract, the language in the contract from the architect to the GC. You know all about this,
Yep.
You should be able, we can kick their ass. So I won't say that again. You should bring it in because you're an experienced contractor.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm basically just attacking just all of the stuff that we all know that we just don't deal with. It's frustrating, when people burn you for checks and you're just walking on jobs and you got the people there, they're changing their mind and you didn't agree. They don't want to sign I mean, the whole contract thing, I'm doing a whole segment on that soon.
Yeah, well, you got boilerplate. I do all government work.
Oh, wow.
Airports.
Where I want to be.
I could get you there for, you don't have to.
Let me know.
No,
I'll talk to you more on that.
Website. I put my website in your thing. www. You could look at that. I wish we were making the money. I had 21 guys at one time. It was crazy shit. A lot of people don't know me, on pod. I don't know this, and I'm looking to do another. Probably get in a more secure platform. I'm hunting because you gotta, listen. People are people, no matter who they are. If anybody know this game, we did it. I did it. You know what? I got a favorite line. Give them what they paid for and follow the goddamn drawings. Ooh, I'm sorry. But anyway, have some fun because I'm doing something like I'm actually just getting ready to head out. I'm at the point with we I don't know if you know anything about painting, but we got Gracos. You heard of Gracos, right?
I know Graco. I don't do paint, but yeah, I admire
you
them
know the
guys.
machines, right? I found my ear pod in my air tag came out of one of the machines in the car that they rented. I found that damn thing. I was like, what is this? And I looked, it's the AirPod because they steal those machines. You know that, right?
Oh, yes.
And Rhode Island is really nice. And you know what the insurance is too now, right?
No.
Third party, you heard of that in insurance? They added to the clause. I just lost the bid. And I didn't really I wanted it. and it's funny because the guy that had the bids, I'm actually helping him out. You know, we don't do collusion. I hope you know what that word is, right?
Yep.
Okay, you know that. I can find out if you know a lot and let your audience know. You're a smart kid. And they we got screwed over. You know, the MWBE, the small business thing, that's all a bunch of hogwash. But my contract was 160,000. And when
Okay.
they gave me the insurance alone came out to 52,000, and you needed 25,000 a down payment. It was a third party. They were asking for 5 million. You know how it is. So
Oh yeah.
you're gonna do good. I saw all zeros. You don't have it no more. I think,
Yeah.
you're
Like I
gonna.
said, we're just getting on here, and I appreciate you for joining. I wasn't sure how the whole thing worked as far as the on air with the pod
So
being.
here's how it works, because I already know whoever's telling you anything, you're coming across great. You're clear. I hear your music. I heard your ooh. You're a smart young man. And yeah, I swear to God, I'm a construction contractor. And once I finish this house, because I didn't know if I can right on down to the sprinkler, you know,
Okay.
Right? If you have a New York City building codes change, we talk about that. We talk about a lot of homeowners. Homeowners are just as slick as the contractors, and sometimes they both marry each other, where they trying to screw us, and then we go, okay, we'll fix them because they don't want to pay. And I never put a lien on. That's what really hurt us too. When you put a lien, they used to say, "Oh, you'll never work for me no more." Who gives a shit? Get your money. Anyway, we got a part. We'll if you need anything, um, I'm there. I don't owe anybody nothing. I don't want nothing from nobody. But I swear to God, we had to bring the engineer that I'm helping out because the community was upset about a guy tearing down a front of a building, but he had a 200 feet parking lot who was the back side of everybody's backyard wall. And they were trying to stop him from building. And under the city law, he has a right to build. And I told everybody in this Zoom meeting, I think we still have it, that you should be real friendly with the contractor because he needs 3 feet to 4 feet to get onto your side to tear this building out. Oh, it's asbestos. These are people, especially some white folks and blacks that know it all, got a nice house, talking shit. But I said, listen, when I went to the meeting in the community, I said, he has a right to build. Oh, but asbestos in the water. You know what I'm getting. I'm like, ma'am, it's a certain amount of water versus material, and he met it, and he's got the permits, and they had to eat their crow. But some of them were smart. They got new backyards. Some of them that was pain in the ass, he didn't care, and he did his work legally, and it could be that. So have a wonderful time. I'm gonna get off, and I'm gonna
Okay.
listen to you rock and roll, and I'll tell you if anything, because I do a live pickleball, but I got to go to work. Well, I'm helping, and I'll tell you, don't let no one else in. Run your show, and then I'll say, hey, you with this. If something goes up or down in the sound, I'll put some kind of character in there so you can just flow. Don't listen to no one. Do your thing. You're going to record all your stuff. You got to get a backup USB because you're going to be doing your thing. If you do 600-700 shows or whatever you do, because it's free, but you're going to get to a point, if you're rocking and rolling and you're doing your thing, you will want to back up what you're talking about. So go ahead, start. I'll log out and
Okay.
I'll just
Appreciate
listen.
you.
I'm going to listen to you. And I ain't going to say a word. So start off with what you were,
No, I
because
appreciate you coming on.
yeah, man, I just finished a house, and that shit was a joke. They were all crooks, right on down to the GC. And sometimes, and I know you had this, and you could touch on this, when an owner hires a guy like me and you, they're not hiring us so they can micromanage us when they don't know our industry. And that shit could be a problem on a job. When have your project meetings, do your thing. Go ahead and do your thing. I don't think I did 2 construction ones, but we could be the first doing that because a lot of people don't know. All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, They don't. No, I appreciate you. Yeah, we'll definitely connect.
What's your name?
Tyler.
All right, I'm Reggie, but there's a S behind my name, and stand behind your platform. You know, all these
Okay.
people come on with these little icon shit, but they don't want to identify. So if you want to come on my live, you got to email me. That's just a little rule I got, because then I can tell if you really email me, you're gonna identify yourself. If not, then we don't need to do any allowing you to go. So go ahead, T. Do your thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna call you T from now on. You know.
Yeah, that's fine, man. A lot of people do.
I know.
They try.
All right, go ahead. I'm listening. Good luck.
Appreciate you. All right. Yeah, so just want to welcome all of the folks on here that are joined on to the live show. Really enjoying this so far. We had a good conversation with Reggie, and just really want to encourage you. So if you want to join on, I'm gonna actually steal that from him. He actually just really highlighted something pretty good with the email. So if you want to come on the live show, just send me an email to feedback@themindofdesign.com. For those of you that don't know about our podcast show, we have, like I said before Reggie came on, I had about 30 plus episodes on audio, and I'm actually going to be starting the audio visual aspect. So I really want to highlight that and jump on into that space, because I really value just YouTube. I mean, you got these guys like Mr. Beast. I mean, obviously he's a mogul at this point in the online world, but he's just one of them. I mean, there's 100. You got Andrew Tate. I mean, again, these people probably provoke different narratives in your mind, I'm sure, because there's just so much surrounding them. But yet, these are some titans really in the online world. So I'm really inspired by that. And there's many more that inspire me. So I was really thinking about that with the podcast, and how can we really get out here and get more people engaged. And people really like video, so we can do shorts and stuff on there. But in any event, the show today. So what I really wanted to get into, I have a couple of segments here. So I have segment one is the transition from traditional tools to technology. And I was sharing with you a bit earlier that there's so many things that we have. I mean, we have so much technology out there. It's kind of outrageous when you really look at it. Appreciate you for sharing that. Great topic. I see you there. So, if I sound a little bit paused, or I'm just trying to get familiarized with the platform here and the lay of the land. So that's just me trying to figure some things out. So don't mind that if there's a few pauses here and there. But so I'm going to start by focusing on the tools of the trade. So for decades, the hammer and nail symbolized the core of construction work, but now we're seeing a significant shift towards automation and digital tools. So a prime example of this shift is really with site surveys. And Reggie, New York better than anybody. So recently, a major construction company in New York City used drones to map out a large-scale urban development site. According to the report by Construction Dive, this approach showed a team this approach allowed the team to complete surveys in a fraction of the time that it would have taken traditional methods. So increasing accuracy and reducing costs is really what they were after, and they were able to achieve that. And we're doing this all over the map, really. But you're looking at this area of drones in the construction industry. I mean, I have a good friend of mine, as I was sharing earlier. She's been in the real estate business for probably 40 years. She's an older woman, but I mean, she just crushes it. She kills it. I mean, there's really, I mean, whatever is the epitome of success, I mean, she's really, her picture should be there because she's just amazing. But, I mean, her marketing's on point. I mean, when it's right around football season and so forth, I mean, she'll do all of her marketing stuff, like her strategies and stuff. She'll hand out flyers and she'll have her face on there with the scoreboard. It's just very cool and engaging. And I take a lot of notes from her, but she's really good. And I really appreciate her for everything she does. But you start to see this, and you start to see the trends and how we can use these things to navigate ourselves and to build ourselves to to a certain point where we're not just doing what we used to do. And it's getting out of that comfort zone, I think, a lot for tradespeople, especially because, I mean, I think anybody that's on here, I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's so many people that are going, they're old school. I mean, they're still writing chicken scratch on a shingle or a piece of wood, and they're bringing the material list, they're getting a good coffee list, and they're running out. And it's so antiquated, and we need to change that. And we need to engage with the modern technologies. I'm not saying embrace all of them, but just at least understand how they work and become more affluent to it, because it's very important. So then there's building information modeling. Most of you may or may not know BIM. So, for instance, I haven't really used this, but Los Angeles International Airport (LAX) expansion project heavily utilized a BIM to streamline the design and construction processes. Engineering news recorded highlighted how BIM helped coordinate between various teams and contractors, significantly reducing again project delays and improving overall efficiency. Of course, cost is always a factor that plays into all of that. So I mean, when you have no errors and there's a very minimal and it's controlled in a marginal shift, you can really start to examine and build. And I'm not using these technologies to try to dumb you down or say, well, you may or may not know. You may be very well educated, but in my experience and in my experience in the trades, I find a lot of people, especially old school contractors, I mean, they're so antiquated and they're so stuck. And it's like they don't want to learn. They're very stubborn. And some of these guys still don't know how to use a smartphone. What's wrong with you, man? You don't know how to use a smartphone?
Taylor,
Yes.
one thing, two things. You mentioned drone earlier,
Yes.
and now you mentioned BIM. So maybe you want to help the people understand the purpose why the drones. The drones was a overall plot photograph and of the entire space. Say like you got a 2 blocks, so maybe since we're so antiquated and old, you may want to explain that as we go along. So you mentioned two crucial industry changes: the drones, and then you mentioned BIM. For those who
Yep.
don't know BIM, BIM is a software that if an architect wants to build a building and they don't want change orders, they don't want us running into, they don't want the mechanical, the electrical, the plumbing running into one another, they'll use this software, which is incredible and very expensive. No?
Yes. Very.
So break those two things down so people can stay on your path. So the reason why they use drones, aerial shot, plot it out, they get a real good visual. It has nothing to do with the soil and, when they're going to build a building like a skyscraper, you'll get an aerial shot. They're finding all of the easier ways, but it is a back end course for us getting the technology and the software. So you should break that part down, unless you were going to do it later on. Like you mention these three, and then the BIM, because BIM will take them right over. You go right over the head, but that's perfect. You sound perfect. You sound clear. You get your own pace of breathing, so you could deliver your message over the airways. So far, so good.
Okay. Appreciate you.
Keep going. We know this shit, brother. I just met you. See what
Yeah.
happens.
No, I
See
totally
what
get
happens in 30 seconds. I
it.
saw that. I'm saying, let me get ready, shower, get my ass out of here. I want to get back home early. I got to go out there and bring a sign-in sheet. And I'm just clicking because I do a live at whatever, and I see construction. Keep going. A lot of people are going to do that. And don't be offending us old ass contractors. You gotta watch yourself, bro. The reason why parents and old contractors do have problems with technology, because their lazy ass children don't want to help us. Keep going. All right. Yeah, keep going, brother. I'm
Appreciate you,
listening.
man. But yeah, so it's fascinating stuff what we have in the world, and I have a ton of technology I could talk about. I have quite a few notes here and things that I was just wanting to hit on, but so with the whole drone shots, I mean, yes, you can get the aerial shot, but I mean more in depth. I mean, there's technologies that the drone has and the abilities and capabilities that it has to really be able to, scout the land. And it right down to basically an inch. It can measure the ground and really give you sort of the footprint of what the building should look like. And it's just a fascinating tool, and it's much more. I mean, you see kids playing around with them, flying around, being obnoxious, going and looking in people's windows, whatever else they're doing with them videos. But when you start to really use it for what it's worth, you start to really see the value. And I don't currently have a drone right now. A really good friend of mine has one. I think he spent a couple thousand on it, and and that's a whole other conversation for maybe for another time. How much the value of like the drones that are out there. I mean, you can spend upwards of probably 100,000 plus if you really wanted to get some kind of military grade drone where you could just do. I mean, you can go for miles. It's just insane what you can do. And obviously, they got restrictions. You have to have, I believe, with if I'm not mistaken, you have to actually go similar to how planes have to be have to essentially just announce that they're going to be flying in this pattern and they're leaving at this time, so they know that they're in the sky. The same with the drones, because I mean they get so high up there. I mean a helicopter could chop it up and all that other stuff, so you have to factor in all those details. But so there's this, you have to get licensed, essentially licensed. For those of you that don't know anything about drones, you have to get licensed to be a licensed pilot to fly them, and making sure that you're just looking at all of the variations and variables. I mean, you see a lot of these YouTube videos. You can just YouTube drones, and you can really check things out on there. It's amazing, all the information that we have in the world. It's just insane what you can do with these things. I mean, you see people doing tricks and flips. They're going through old mills. They're just flying around and getting really close to the water. And I don't recommend that if you're really starting out with them. I mean, start out with the basics, just fly straight up and get over the area, get that shot, and get back down, and you can really start to use that as a vantage point. And you start to look at this because technology, all it's doing is it's essentially taking us from where we were, and it's enhancing every process that we have going on. We can do so much with it, and it benefits. It not only, you can look at it from two different angles. Obviously, you can look at it from a negative angle and say, well, it's not really. It's taking jobs away, but do you really want the jobs that this thing's taken? I mean, that's the real question that you have to ask. You have to look at it from a solid standpoint of like, these are tools that we're using that are going to help save lives, I believe. Because if you're putting people out there in the trenches and looking for things and doing the old school method, you can still do it, but why put people at risk? Put a machine out there that can handle the business and come back and do and do it in record time at that. So you're not getting all those hours racked up and dealing with people that are lying on timesheets, and that's a whole other topic that we'll talk about and we'll get into. But drones are very fascinating. BIM, I'm not as familiar with it just because that's more of a commercial, and it's a much larger base of operation. But BIM, in a nutshell, is very fascinating stuff. It's the software, the technology. So, like I was sharing the story there, article that I was reading earlier yesterday, built that BIM was being used for the LAX airport there. They were expansion, dealing with an expansion project that was using BIM to streamline the design and construction processes. So engineering news, there was an article about that, and you can go and check it out for yourself. Significantly reducing project delays and improving an overall quality. And essentially, it just really helps produce this magnificent experience for the end user. And again, I'm not as privy to it, so maybe Reggie can share something at some point on that, and we can have a whole topic on just BIM and just some of those technologies that are out there. But it's amazing what we have, and we're without excuse really in today's world. I mean, in today's environment, there's so much that we have that it's like, I mean, if you just look around at some of the apps that you can use, I mean, you can revolutionize the game completely. And I'm just staying on topic here just so that we don't kind of veer off, because it's easy for me to kind of go into a whole conversation about stuff that I that has nothing to do with what I want to key in on here, but we're going to get into some stuff. And so I want to bring you to segment 2 of this, and I'll share a bit more at the end of the show here. So those of you that may be listening, you're like, well, he didn't really talk enough on BIM. He didn't talk enough on drones. I want to hear more. I'll get into that in the end. That's my flow. I like to really hit on the points that I'm talking about so you get the overall synopsis of what I'm drilling at. So now, to drill down a little bit more, segment 2 is the impact of 3D printing on construction. So very powerful stuff. So 3D printing, and for those of you that are not familiar, 3D printing, again, YouTube's your best friend. I don't mean to say that to talk down to you at all. Trust me, that's never my angle. I never talk down to anybody. I believe everybody has the capability within them to do whatever they set their mind to do. So I'm the last person to do that, and never take that like I'm just talking at you. I want you to benefit from what's out there in the world. And so the 3D printing in construction is just so fascinating. Again, YouTube, check out some of the 3D printing models. I mean, you can make, they're making stuff totally off topic here, but they're using it. They've been using it now probably for, I might be a bit of a stretch, but at least I would say 8 to 10 years in medical procedures and medical, stents and stuff like that. I mean, just different parts in the body by using 3D printing to be able to make those parts, and it's saving costs and it's saving lives and doing all of this this great for the world. So you look at this, and now they've taken that they put it on steroids, essentially, is what, we started out. You can get a 3D printer now, I think, for like $300 when they first came out. They were a few grand for a really good one, but now a really good one probably run you 3, 4, maybe 600, and that's even a stretch. But see, and what you can do with that is you can literally make a 3D model of what you put on the screen. I mean, within reason, obviously. It's based on the operational use that you have of that machine. Not every machine is going to do everything. Just like some printers print just black and white, some have color, some have fax, some don't. Blah blah blah, and you get the gist there of what that looks like. So one standout example in 3D printing is the homes in Dubai. For those of you that are not familiar, the city's government has launched a project to build 3D printed buildings as part of the Dubai 3D printing strategy, aiming to make 25%. I want you to picture this now. 25% of new buildings in the city are to be printed, are to be 3D printed by 2030. I mean, that's pretty good, I think, anyways. You start to look at that and see that there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening in the world, and we're doing this from a standpoint that we never knew possible before. I appreciate you, Reggie, coming on there on the chat. I'm seeing all your messages, so I just want to acknowledge that
You're
I see
doing
that.
good. You're doing good. Keep going.
So one standout example of this is as well in the U.S. Icon, a construction technology company. If you ever look them up, get a chance. They're huge company. I mean, they're right up there with Skanska and some of these massive union, some of these union companies that are out here. Even I'm trying to think. Bond, I think, is one of them. It's been a while since I worked in the union, so I'm a little bit rusty with some of the construction company names. Marguerite Concrete was one of them I used to work for. Colony Drywall, so forth. But Icon's up there. They're one of the big dogs in the industry. And they printed affordable housing for Austin, Texas. Forbes covered how Icon's 3D printed technology is tracking the housing crisis by creating high quality, low cost homes that are assembled quickly and addressing both economic and supply chain challenges. So you start to look at the value that's brought. I mean, and there are challenges, and I'm not going to sit here and say everything's peachy and everything's just perfect, because it's not. I mean, these 3D printed homes are great, but in the same token, when you start to move with technology, there are flaws, there are hiccups, there are things you're going to hit. I mean, 3D printing a home is great, but we're not looking at the R value. There's insulation value that's added, but I'm saying over the years, like 50 years from now, what's that house going to look like? That's the real question that we need to be asking. And those are the things where the screwed up truth of this whole conversation that I started entirely is about, because I really want to drive at the focal point of there's realities behind the veil. Like, we can look at it and say everything's perfect, but everything's not perfect. You look at the world's not perfect. I mean, no matter where you go, there's problems. And we need to look at those problems. We need to address those problems. We need to have a conversation about those problems, because those are the things that are really going to be a driving force behind everything else. And if we just simply brush it under the carpet and just say, well, it's not a big deal, let's just ignore that, or let's not really talk about that, let's talk about how grandiose this thing is. There are principles and there are laws in the universe, in the world, that work, and they work for us. They're not there to disrupt our lives. They're there to, in fact, enhance our life. And the more we pull away from those principles and those laws that govern the world, we start to find issue in certain areas. There's like pitfalls. And again, I'm not downplaying technology. I'm saying look at both sides of the coin. Don't just look at it from the standpoint of it's great. Everything's great at first, but then you look at it and you start to see, well, these things need to be challenged. And what is this going to look like? What is that going to look like? Why do we have houses in Europe that are 500 years old and they're perfectly sound, versus a house in the US that's 50 years old and it's got a ton of problems? Doesn't make much sense. And you start to look at those things, and it comes down to the same issue. It's the building materials, it's the quality, it's all of this stuff. So I actually have some things coming up at 9 a.m. here Eastern time. So I'm going to push through this live here a little bit quicker, but I just wanted to really have a conversation surrounding this. So I have another area that I wanted to hit too, and this is where we're calling this the breaking point. So for those of you that are new on the show is brand new, so you are welcome here, because this is our inaugural broadcast here. So we are just fresh and new to the scene, so I'm excited for what's to come and the conversations that we'll have. But so the breaking point, for those of you brand new here, and just like me, we're just starting out here, innovations to elevate your game. We're talking, so the breaking point is going to be the point in the conversation where I talk about new technologies or talk about new things that are happening in the market that you may or may not be familiar with. So today I want to get into that. So we're going to look at that in the breaking point. So today I want to just introduce augmented reality for those of you. And again, for some of you, you may be joining on, you may be listening to this live, you may be listening to this later on, and you're like, I don't know about any of this technology. I've heard of it. My kids use it. My grandkids use it, but I don't know about it. And don't worry, because we'll have future episodes where I'll just target BIM. I'll just target and we'll just talk about these things. I'll have Reggie on here if he wants, and we can just talk about BIM all for an entire 45 minutes or whatever the case. And we'll just really dive into the variations, how it's used, experiences, and New York versus Rhode Island, and what all that looks like, so that you really get it in depth. And I'll do that for each of these. But I wanted to really put a bang out there in the world so that we can have a really good conversation. So The Verge recently covered how AR solutions are being used to visualize complex construction projects in real time, allowing contractors to see how different elements will come together before construction begins. This technology is reducing errors and enhancing collaboration on job sites. So it's really amazing. I mean, I look at it like the Tony Stark. For those of you that don't know Tony Stark, I mean, you need to go back and watch some really good movies from Marvel. So Tony Stark, when he wakes up in the morning, Iron Man, when he wakes up in the morning, he has this giant computer screen, his entire windows. I mean, you look outside and you just see this computer that's right in front of him. It's all digital, and he's just touching this, and he swipe it to the left. It's VR. It's Apple's got the VR going on. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's kind of lame the way it looks, and I'd never buy technology. And rule of thumb for those of you that are maybe unsure about technology, I want to encourage you that don't buy the first iteration of anything. Buy the third generation of it. by the third or fourth generation, because by that point they've usually worked out all the kinks. iPhone, same difference. I mean, I won't buy an iPhone when they've made a major shift in their screen or the major shift in their technology, and I don't want to buy it. Why? Because their kinks are going to be there. Hence, iPhone, I think it was iPhone 13 or something, or 12. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was 13, but they were all the backs were breaking. The backs meaning the back of the phone, because they made this stupid glass that didn't make any sense. Nobody really understood why. I mean, it looks nice. It has a pretty look to it, but you drop it down once, it's going to break. The metal should have stayed, and I think they learned their lesson there, because there was a lot of recalls, and that people were going to different Apple stores and getting that fixed, and it was just obnoxious. So, and I don't think insurance was covering it. It's just one of those weird things. But anyways, if you're ever buying technology, all that to say, buy the third generation at least of that same technology. This way, most of the kinks are worked out, and you can just flow. Because one of the worst things to experience, and one of the things I hate the most, especially in industry with tools and stuff, and I'll get into a lot of the tools and stuff that I use. I'm a finish carpenter now, so I focus a lot on high-end finish, trim work, all that kind of stuff, all that fun stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that I'll use that is just maybe foreign to a lot of people. And so I'll talk about some of the tools that I've used, like Stabilia. I only use German tools specifically because they're the best. I mean, you can argue with me till Kingdom Come and say, well, Milwaukee's better. And if you say Ryobi's better, then I know you're not a contractor.
And you're right about that because they use certain type of steel,
Yes,
and
exactly.
you're doing good. Keep going.
Yeah, all the Bosch. I mean, Bosch is a phenomenal German engineered tool. I mean, come on, the Germans know what they're doing. I mean, they just have a phenomenal product,
So
and you can't
Germans
deny
made
it.
Bosch. Wow, I didn't know that. Good job.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, and I've been using Bosch for years now. I had a good friend of mine on the Cape Cod over here in Mass, because I did a ton of finish work on the Cape, a bunch of houses and Wellfleet.
I got some word for you. I just came back from the vineyard.
Oh, okay. I love
So
the vineyard.
you're a boat across.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to go there. Are you near Long Island?
I got you covered, brother. Don't worry about it. I'm not
Are
gonna
you near
kill you.
Long Island?
I drive.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You're good. So
Okay.
you're
Yeah, we'll have
good.
to check it out. I want to go to New York anyways, so.
Well, I got you. You know,
Okay. Yeah,
I
we'll talk.
promise. Listen to me. You're good. You're doing great.
Appreciate you, man.
You smart ass young kids. You sound like a very well raised young man, and you're smart. And you are you're transitioning into the technology as you become a CEO. You're already a CFO and a CEO, but you're on top of it. And I don't think we'll clash with the way you're bringing your construction talk versus mine because you're right on point. And as what I noticed what you did, you have 5 different topic points. So you're never going to become boring.
No.
You know what I'm
And then I'm
saying?
gonna pull on these in future episodes.
You're gonna combine the BIM, and you'll let them know who mostly uses BIM, which is the architects and the engineers and the mechanical trades and all the other guys. The BIM is for the trade contractors to follow. Like if they give us a pipe run, we're gonna stay on that run. If you deviate that run and you get in somebody else's way, you got to pay for that change order. Keep
Yep.
going. You're doing
Okay.
good.
Appreciate you.
All right. I'm gonna mute myself. You're doing good.
So, this technology with the AR and stuff, I mean, it's just amazing. It really is. And so I kind of went off a little bit on a tangent there with the iPhone and just buying. But I just really want to add value to the listeners here, those of you that joined on again. I'm looking at this as like this stays in the ether of time. This audio will never disappear. So we're really going to use this for our advantage in the future. Because I can do a lot with this audio, so I just wanted to acknowledge that and let you know that if you're listening to it live, or if you're listening to it on record, you can just just have value added to you, because it's really good to know that this is the stuff that I wasn't taught. This is the stuff that I had to learn the hard way a lot of times, because you just don't know until you know, and once you know, then you're responsible for it. So. For example, The Verge, I was sharing with you, earlier about VR. They recently covered how the AR solutions are being used to visualize complex construction projects in real time, allowing contractors to see how different elements will come together before construction begins. So, I mean, it revolutionizes. So, again, if you want to go on YouTube, look up the VR headset that Apple put out. I believe if you're Apple, Android, I don't love you or hate you. I'm neutral. I use technology. I personally like Apple. I've always been an Apple person because I just think they get the better product. But that's just my opinion. So again, I'm neutral to whether or not if you have an argument of Android's better, good for you. That's awesome. I'm not converting though. I'm sticking with my Apple. I like it. So this technology it reduces errors and enhances the collaboration on job sites. So it's able to weed out. And interesting enough, I was thinking about this earlier today when I was on a union job site. I was probably a third year apprentice, and it was pretty daunting, the job we were on. So South Coast Hospital Systems. There's actually a whole, I think, 4 of them together. We were working on one in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and it was with, I think it was Skanska. I want to say it was Skanska, Deloitte, not Deloitte. No, I'm mixing that up with finance now. Skanska. So if you look them up, Skanska, they're a pretty big company. I think if they're union now, they weren't then. So I'm speaking from the point where they weren't union. If they are now, that's awesome. But so when they were doing this job there, they were on the 3rd floor. I'll never forget it because we were measuring, the union guys was union, non-union. That's usually pretty commonplace, especially in I think today's world. You always work in union, non-union. It's just a matter of bids and stuff. But you start to look at we were starting to look at the walls, and the hospital beds. You got to be able to fit two to a room. And so they were pushing these hospital beds in, and they were noticing, okay, because they were using a dummy one to try to figure out, all right, how's this going to pivot, all that. So they had 40 rooms in a row. You can imagine this now. There's a hallway, probably a football field and a half long, just massive hallway. And they were off. And it had nothing to do with the carpenters. It had to do with the architects, really. And the architects screwed up because on their plans, they showed 2 inches less in the first room. So 2 inches less in a room is not a big deal in one room. But when you get to the 40th room, it's now almost 4 feet or so. So you get the picture in your mind. Now they lose 40 feet in the last room. So long story short, they had to eat a couple $1 million. I think it was like close to 3 or 4 million that they had to eat. All that material, we had to demo every single wall. It was finished paint. That's how done it was. So for those of you that know, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Reggie, you know exactly what I'm saying with that whole issue there. When you're eating costs and stuff, especially when the paint's on the wall, I mean, it's done. Beds are ready to go in, floors are about to be finished up and stuff. So it was just brutal. Anyways, they ate all that cost, and so that was a perfect example. They didn't have VR then, so they were really up creek without a paddle, and you start to see that, and it's a sad thing to see. But in any event, it's good to know that there's a lot of stuff that can happen, but nonetheless, you can correct it and just learn from the process. Unfortunately, that was a $3 or $4 million learning curve for them, and it was pretty wild. I was like, whoa, that's wild. So, anyways, that's there, and so you start to see this, and it's amazing. It's amazing, the technology, and so, but that's not all. I want to talk a little bit on NEOM, and I'm going to be wrapping up in a few minutes here, but the city of the future. So those of you that don't know NEOM, NEOM is this ambitious project in Saudi Arabia. It's actually reported by Business Insider is being built with the emphasis of sustainability and advanced technology. NEOM will feature AI-driven design processes, sustainable materials, as well zero carbon energy resources. So setting a new benchmark to futuristic urban planning. So it's literally going to be the city of the future. It's going to be self-driving cars we're talking about, I mean, people aren't going to be at front counters. It's literally going to be just like a minus the people that go to visit. It's going to be basically a digital ghost town. And you start to see this and get this image in your mind. It's like, if you ever watch that movie, I'm a little bit of a movie buff. I don't know, for my movie buff people that are maybe on here and you're listening, uh, I'm going to bring you back and in a little bit of a time capsule here. As an old movie, but I think it was with Will, not Will. What's his name? He's got some kind of ailment now. Really good actor, bald white guy. I know there's a lot of bald white guy actors, but it's not. What was his name? Bruce Willis. There you go. So yeah, Bruce Willis did this movie, and he was actually. It was a really good movie. It was called The Fifth Element. Those of you that are movie buffs, you'll know exactly. So The Fifth Element, it was this woman. She was the fifth element in the universe. It was just very interesting. But it was this. What I'm pointing out is there was this futuristic world, and he was flying a taxi, not driving a taxi, and it was flying into this building. It was just crazy looking. But I think that was back in the early 2000s, if not 90s. But older movie, like I said, I take you back a little bit there. But that was a perfect example of something to look at as a visual to what this sort of city of the future thing is going to be all about. And for those looking to boost their efficiency, check out apps like PlanGrid and Procore if you haven't used them, and they've been around for a hot minute. But they're a great tool, each of them. PlanGrid I have used. Procore I haven't used, but I've heard amazing things about it. Procore, I mean, and these are platforms that have been instrumental in projects like Salesforce Tower in San Francisco. For those of you that don't know, again, go check it out. Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, as detailed in Construction Weekly. They actually offered features for managing blueprints, schedules, and punch lists from the smartphone or tablet, keeping everything organized and accessible right at your fingertips. So it's a great tool. One of the tools I actually use, I stopped using both of these. They're amazing. They're a paid software, so they're a little bit pricey, especially for the one that you really need, which is the Pro. The Pro version, which can run you a couple $100 sometimes, depending on the volume of team. Because one of the things I can't stand is they charge you per user per month, which is, I think, good for them, but not for the user. That's why it leads me to believe that they're really not interested in serving the people, especially the smaller companies. I'm not saying you're going to stay small forever, but I mean everybody needs help in the beginning, and so it's just fascinating because even the cheaper models, they still charge like just outlandish, I think, amounts of money, because that's not the only app you're using. For those of you that use apps in construction, you need probably 10 or 15 apps. And it's like you got to pay for all of them, and they run you a couple $100 a month, and a couple $100 a month in any economy is a good chunk of change, and you got to just factor those numbers in the back end. But that's one of the reasons I stopped using it, but I will eventually go back to it once it makes sense for me to do it. But what I use now a lot is really great technology. I use Loom. I recommend you write these down if you don't know about these. Just check them out in the App Store if you got Google Play, if you're an Android person, or if you got the App Store, of course, if you're iPhone. You can check them out. But Loom is a great tool, Loom. And then also I use a lot. So Loom is just basically for video editing tools. So I do video walkthroughs when I'm on construction sites and I'm with a client and there's a lot of information trying to get captured. I'm able to use Loom to video record, and then it's able to analyze everything that's said there, and then it can go back and type everything out for you. So not only do you hear it, but I can send like a script to somebody that I'm working with and say, hey, this is everything that was shared. These are the measurements per what the client had said, blah, blah, blah. And then now they have a visual there, and then they can also see the space. They can get the space design. And then in that tool, there's another app that I use. I mean, there's all kinds of different apps, and I can talk for days on this stuff because it's just we're without excuse in today's world. I mean, there's so much technology out here. It's insane. There's this measuring tool that I use. I'm actually pulling it up right now. It's called Measure in the App Store. and you literally just click a point, and it will give you as close to an accurate measurement as you can imagine. I mean, it's, I think, within inches in some cases. It's probably the max amount of error that you'll have, and that's like with a span of say 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet. But you just basically you snap a picture, you put a point at, for example, I'll take a picture of my desk, and I'll, with that still shot camera, that still shot picture, I'll use a point, I'll drag that across, and then I'll put another point, and then it'll show me in the middle what that number is, and it's usually pretty dead on. And it's so my desk, I think, is 55 inches long. It would get literally 55 inches, maybe an eighth of an inch short or something, but it's pretty accurate. Great tool. I use that. It's free. I encourage you to use that if you're ever on job sites. And also another one that I use, it's not so much app user friendly. It's more because it's such a large platform software. But I use it. Basically, it's replaced PlanGrid for me. It's called ClickUp. For those of you that don't know what ClickUp is, it's a hugely underrated platform, and it's completely, like, you can run it for free for years. I mean, you could run probably a team of 12 or 15 people, and I'm not kidding you, off of this without having to pay any paid version. And I think their paid version is like $12 a month. But I'm not getting any money or sponsor from them, so I just really like their product. They're phenomenal service, and you can literally run your entire company off of that. It's literally a project management software that just runs everything for you. So I encourage you to go check out that ClickUp. But those are three that I use that, like I said, they kind of replace PlanGrid for me, at least for the meantime. But I'll be back and I'll grab them up eventually. But as we keep moving, we'll grow and build that towards that. So I don't need it right now. But those are great softwares, great apps that you can use. But the segment is all about giving you the tools really to push the limits and elevate your work. So whether it's embracing AR, drawing inspiration from groundbreaking projects like Neom, or simply using an app to streamline your workflow, the goal is to make sure that you're equipped with whatever comes next in a rapidly evolving industry. So I want you to be encouraged and really look forward to being with you. I'm doing these. I may do these a lot more. Reggie set a high bar there, 600 in a year, I think you said, that's amazing. I don't know if I can accomplish that.
No,
And
you're I was just, when you know how it is when you don't get paid on Fridays. You
So you're
know,
just on here talking?
totally. Because you're winding up, um, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Taylor will have those apps and those sites on his next, because you can write that up, T, and put
Yeah.
that out. You have to do that because I wanted some of it. I use Bluebeam.
Oh, okay.
You heard of Bluebeam? You got to pay. You were right on the money about the subscriptions. You're right on the money. Um, uh, you are perfect. Now everything I heard, if you start chopping away each component that you mentioned, and
Okay.
then all of the sites for a lot of lame people like us, especially the old ones. I'm gonna get on you, boy. You know, we gonna go out. You whatever you said, when you listen back to what you're doing right now, those sites and those, the ones that you were giving them as, hey, you could use this one, you could use that one, put that on that list. And then
Okay.
that'll be your list that you pop into the chat. Hey, by the way, there's a list of, boom, boom, boom. Interesting about the Saudi Arabia one, and you see how China's building. It's incredible, the
Oh,
technology.
insane.
The 3D was right on the money, and so I don't see, I just see you just growing hard. You don't really need anybody else. You can do everything going forward the way you have just done it now. And now I feel a lot better because my construction side was actually the client to the GC, the OSHA. You'll get all of that in, and you'll have a blockbusting show. So there's no need to let anybody in anymore. whether it be me or anybody else. I'm doing that. I was told to start doing that. I've been on a lot of people's show. You got a gentleman in here right now. Lou Rock is listening attentively. I was painting yesterday and I was listening to him. He had his music going. I was rocking and rolling. So in a roundabout way, I kind of trust his ethics, but by you not knowing me, and I just mentioned him because he's in your live right now.
Okay.
I've been noticing
Welcome,
a
man.
ton of new podcasters like you, so many other. I met a lady, religion, me. We don't want to get boring. I don't know if my show was crazy last night because I talked about poison in the foods, and you're going to get a lot of people, but you stay focused. Do not deviate from what you're doing, and you're gonna kick ass because you're bringing the technology in. I'm going to be listening because we missed that transition. Remember when you were young at this time? Al Gore invented the internet. So
Oh man, we're going
once
back.
once technology hit the goddamn construction industry, you mentioned about other softwares. Scancer was bought out, I believe.
Yep, I
And Lee,
believe so. They were,
Lee
they're
McGovern was
joined with
bought
another
out.
company.
Lee McGovern was bought out. So you got Turner Construction, Gilbanes, Tishman. You got all the old dinosaurs that they're transitioning to the technology that you said, because we don't get paid. We get pencil recs, we get the AIA forms for architects. This job that I was on, they didn't even have a goddamn schedule of values for payment. It's like, what?
Oh man, come on.
What went down with that. So I'm proud of you. Congratulations. I'm glad to be the first to tell you that. I'm glad you got I put in my website. Here's
Yeah, I
my,
already checked you out there. I'm gonna reach out.
I'll give you my number if you want. And you don't need to do anything other than do it. Your voice sounds great. Your spacings of your points of view is in line where people can think. You're not talking face. You're not a radical. You're fast. You're not a radical, and you're very smart. And you have a construction company. Who the hell don't know it better than me and you? We can tell everybody from both sides of the coin, and you're gonna make it. And you just, as like I said, you don't have to let no one in anymore. Go forward. When you get to a point where people that'll support your show will come on and you'll see it, and you're going to open up the light, and you may get copycats. I think sometimes when people come on your show, they want to hear what the hell you're talking about, and sometimes it's not good because you could talk about something that they wanted to talk about. You blew the topic, but God bless you, and I'll put something in here to bless your show. That's what we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. On the 10th of this month, God has blessed his soul and blessed his show, and a heart of love. Peace, man.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations. You did good, man.
Thank you, man.
You don't have to
Yeah,
listen to it.
we'll
Maybe
definitely
turn up
connect.
your volume just a touch here so you can come a little louder, because you may have people that have hearing issues. But other than
Okay,
that, you're cranking. You're off and running.
appreciate it. Yeah, we'll definitely connect on the government contract side of things.
Oh,
I have actually a
look at me.
business
I
that.
wrote legislation, brother. I helped write the legislation for small business. I was bitching and
Ooh,
moaning. I was non-union. I had a couple of strikes. I had a lot of collective bargaining issues. It wears you down. You're good. You got a nice niche. Nobody wants trouble in Chappaqua over there. They just want the shit done. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's expensive because you got to get the material. When we did the work, this guy that I'm helping out I love him. I'll go anywhere. They got a summer house in my venue. You think I'm not going to go and help his ass out? I went to go get the paint. They told me $92 a gallon. I said, what the freak? The manager heard me say that shit because I'm black and I was all in my whites. I got on whites now, I'm going. And I said, God damn it. He said, sir, a boat brought this material. And I got it. Even yesterday, that paint it's not cheap. And you're going to make it. All right, let
I
me get on out
appreciate
of
you.
here. And you got my information. When do you come on? Saturdays? Well, I already
Yeah,
followed you.
Saturdays right now. I might be doing more during the week, but a week obviously is usually pretty hectic. But I
Saturday and
might be able
Sunday
to
is a
do
good talking point, Don, for this topic. And a lot of people, and my next couple of topics, because I was holding up, but you came on. God bless. The certificate of occupancy and hiring unlicensed contractors. And then now it's time to get signed off, and you don't pay them 75% of his money. He's gone. He don't give a shit. That
Yep.
is a big problem. And
100%.
all right, Brian Taylor.
Appreciate you.
All right, T. See you
I'll reach
soon.
out.
I'm gonna log off, but I'm gonna stay on. I'm gonna stay on.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm almost done by a couple minutes.
start driving. All right,
All
cool.
right.
Thank you. Great kid, man. He's gonna be good.
Well, see, I'm telling you, the challenge you have with this break off of like people are so stuck in this, mentality with the older crowd of people. Because I mean, we have people that are in their 60s, 70s working still, and that's awesome. I mean, I applaud you. If your body is still cranking and you got that energy and you want to get up and you want to go to work and stuff, that's fine. I mean, some people, they don't have a choice. But then you have the younger guys that are just the younger cats don't want to come in because they're making money online. But I believe, and this might be a stretch for some of the listeners on here, but I believe that each and every one of us are innate, like in our nature, in our core of who we are. Like I didn't choose to be a carpenter. I didn't choose to be a construction worker. It was like kind of who I was. It was sort of like a skill that I had, and I used it. I'm not going to say I came out of the womb knowing how to do this and cut, trim, and all that other stuff, but it came very natural. And I believe in every generation, there's millions of people that are in the world that would love to do hands-on work, but the trouble we're having now is the evolution of construction has changed so much. The economy sucks. I mean, let's just be honest. Economy sucks really for 20, 30 years now, but that's a whole other conversation. But I mean, the economy is it's trash. And so you're dealing with so much. I mean, there's so much inflation going on. There's all this stuff. So people are looking at it like $30 an hour. I'm not working. Like my rate is like, full stop. I mean, I don't work for less than 50 an hour. And that might sound a lot to some. That might sound like peanuts to another. But it's like I don't per se enjoy the trades as much as I do doing it for myself. I don't like it as a job. So that's why I became an entrepreneur. So I just kind of focus on my thing. I do what I want to do. I work my hours when I want to work. I'm not demanded. I don't like getting yelled at, all that other stuff. You got to show up here. I got to do this. I'm all set. So I work by the job now, and I'm not giving you those numbers, but I'll let you imagine, how much I get paid for 1 hour of my time, depending on how long the job takes. I charge. This is what it is. This is the price. If it takes me an hour, it takes me 3 weeks. That's my price. This is what it costs. And I'm always making well over 50 an hour. But anyways, that's the challenge I've seen, and I continue to see in the trades is like we have the workers. There's no shortage of people. Like, let's be honest. I mean, they're talking about depopulating the world with the whole Gates Foundation, but that's whatever. I'm not even going to engage with that. But you hear about all this conversation about, there's too many people in the world. So then if there's so many people in the world, why don't we have construction workers? Why is there the young cats don't want to come out of the gate and start working because they don't want to slave labor like everybody else did before them, because they realize something that I think anybody, logically speaking, would understand. Say, listen, I want to make buku money, so I'm going to either get into real estate. I'm going to get in for the sake of rehabbing properties, but then I'm just going to hire people and pay them cheap labor so that I can just have them renovate my units and get them rented. And in some cases, they don't really want to do that, and they don't have the money, whatever the case, or they're just slumlords and they don't want to really deal with the property in any way. So they say it's in a crappy neighborhood, so just keep it the way it is and throw some people in there, keep the people that are there, jack their rent up, and then just they pay the mortgage, you make a little bit of money, and then now you get that equity coming in. And so they got all this creative way is what I'm getting at, and that's what I'm driving at. This next generation is got so much at their fingertips and they know it, and kudos to them, because they know what they got going on. They're not looking at it from a standpoint of like, I'm a victim. They're looking at it as like, hey, I'm going to maximize my e-store. I'm working on Amazon. I got Amazon this, I got that. And they're doing all of this stuff and they're just killing it. They're absolutely killing it. Some of these kids are making hundreds of dollars an hour while everybody else is still slaving away for 25, 30 an hour. And it's crazy how the mentality has shifted. We're in such a pinnacle point. We're at such a crucial moment in history. And I think it's not talked about at all, let alone enough. And that's why the screwed up truth conversation that I'm building towards, and this pod being live, all of this, the whole reason for this is to really drive at those force fields of issue, because it's an issue and we need to talk about it. So I want to just again thank you for joining on and being here with me in the live show here. It's really I've enjoyed it entirely. I really do appreciate you, Reggie, for joining on. It was a real it was a surprise, because again, I was just brand new to it. I'm like, oh, somebody's coming in, let me click on them and join. And so I'm glad all that worked out, and I was able to have a really good conversation and talk about some things. But I'm looking forward to getting on some more shows and doing this just religiously, because once this is out there, it never comes back. And that's what I love about the internet. At the same token, I'm very focused on what I put out there. I don't put out crap. So I'm not interested in and that's word to the wise. If you're going to make videos and stuff, please don't make these videos where you're paused for like 30 seconds or the audio is not working for a minute, and then your audio comes on and then you put that out into the world, because that will never come back. It's always going to be there, rather, and it's never leaving the internet. So whatever you put out there in the internet world, you want to make sure that it's value and it's content that people are going to be able to get after. And so one of the things that I really focus on, I really enjoy, is not just making trendy content, because trendy is great. I mean, it's awesome, but trends that we're in, I mean, we're in such a fast-paced world. I mean, 2016 wasn't that long ago, but we're talking about 2016 like it was back in the 40s. That's what I mean by the evolution of things. It's just insane where we are in the world. It's crucial. And so 2016, I mean, the conversation and trends then are not the trends we have in 2024. And so we need to update ourselves and constantly look at our bandwidth and say, well, what am I really building? What am I really discovering? What am I really creating? And so one of the things that I focus on personally, and this is, you can take this or leave this for what it's worth, but if you're creating content out there in the world, I encourage you to make sure that it's evergreen. And all evergreen means it's a fancy word to say, just make sure that it's based on principles. It's based on laws that govern the world. And what I mean by that in layman's terms is simply just make sure that the stuff you put out there is going to be able to, in 50 years from now, be listened to and people get value from it. Like a Earl Nightingale. If you don't know Earl Nightingale, I encourage you to go and check him out on YouTube. Earl Nightingale's old school white guy, but man, that guy's got some raw, uncut, unfiltered, untethered information that's out there. I mean, it's just amazing, the stuff you can learn. I mean, I'll listen to him as if it was I'm listening to somebody yesterday, because his stuff is just so real and it's raw and it's principles and it works. And if you apply it, it works in any generation. And so that's the stuff that I always want to put out here. I don't want to just talk and be trendy. I'm not interested in trends. I'm interested in being effective and making sure that the world benefits from it. So the Screwed Up Truth Construction Edition. Today we've looked at technology and reshaping our industry, from drones to 3D printing, and the innovations helping us elevate our game. So I hope it's helped you. I hope that you've got a little bit of an expansion in your mind and helping you to really look at things differently, because it's important to see things from the bird's eye view sometimes and just look at it for what it really is and not what you're hearing as a narrative standpoint. Because let's be honest, especially with elections going on, and I'm not even going to touch that because it's such a hot topic, but I mean, there's so much in your ear right now. It's good to pull back sometimes and look at it from the standpoint of like, okay, I need to look at this from the drone standpoint. I need to look down at this stuff and see what's really going on. Because when you can do that, you can add value to the world in a big way. So remember this. This is just the beginning. So we're going to keep digging into the real issues that matter most to you. And I always want to hear from our listeners. So if you can, in the chat section, just share some things. I mean, I'm going to touch on all of what I've touched on today. Like I said, if Reggie's open to it, we're going to get on a conversation about BIM and talk about that, because he has a lot of knowledge on it. And just I want people that are experts in their field to be able to communicate and talk about, if you have an expert experience, if you are a drone pilot in today's modern society, if you've served in the military or drone pilot, I want you on here. I want to hear from you. And I want to thank you for your service personally. So I'd love to have you on here at that, because I really love our servicemen and women, people that are serving this great nation and keeping it great as best they can, and keeping at bay as much as they can all of the harm that can come into this country. So I really applaud and honor our servicemen and women, and just we need to recognize them, because I don't think they get enough recognition. But until next time, I
Taylor,
want you to
Taylor,
keep.
Taylor,
Yep.
before you go, can you do me 3 favors?
Yes.
One, can you hit your applause?
Sure. Applause.
You know, like the button where you get the clap? Because you was doing good with that.
Yeah, I got that there. Okay. I was looking for applause. Say clap.
And right next to it, it said cheer. I want you to play that back for your mom and your dad, or God willing that they're still here, and you listen. You did a banger. This is a
I
block.
appreciate you.
No. I'm really happy for you.
Thank
Trust
you, man. Thank you.
me, you did good. You covered stuff it's good. I've listened, and that cheering, that round of applause is for your success, brother. I'll see you soon, man.
I appreciate you. Okay. Yeah,
You're doing
definitely
good.
will.
You're doing good. Trust me. And
Thank you, man. But yeah, I appreciate all of you, and appreciate you, Reggie, specifically, because you really came on and helped me out here. That's what it's all about. And if we can't help each other, what do we really have? We have a world that's jacked up, twisted, and a lot of people are broke, busted, and disgusted, can't be trusted, and we need to stop all that nonsense and come together as much as we can, and really put all things aside and just look at the issues. Attack the issues. Don't attack each other. If you get anything from this talk today, attack the issues. Attack the problems. Attack the situations, because those are what really stand in the way. So until next time, keep building and keep breaking down the walls of what's possible. I'm Tyler, and this is the Screwed Up Truth Construction Edition, and I'll see you next time. And please, for anybody that has any thoughts, desires, you want to hear some things for the next one, I'm going to be back here on the next Saturday, just for consistency and cadence. We're going to build, and so 7 a.m. is the start time. I mentioned in the beginning that I had some issues with the audio for the first time that I came on, but for the right reason, because Reggie wasn't here. Now he is. We're having some fun. So I appreciate all of you again, and so just look out for us on Saturday, and check us out on the different social media platforms. Minded Design Podcast, we have a Facebook page there. You can check us out, of course, Minded Design Podcast, of course, on here on Podbean, for those of you who use Podbean. And we have other places as well. You can check us out, and I'll share all that information, and I'll rehash everything that I shared with you today. I'll send those links out so that everybody has that info. Thank you again. Appreciate you all, and much love. And until next time, have a great day, everyone.